Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori and this is Africa 54. Nigeria has again been jolted by the heinous kidnappings of schoolgirls. Police say suspected Boko Haram gunmen seized 8 girls aged 12 to 15 overnight from a village near one of their strongholds in northeast Nigeria. Meanwhile, worldwide outrage over the kidnappings is growing. Every day that passes adds to the pain of parents and relatives of the hundreds of schoolgirls being held captive somewhere in the northeast of Nigeria. The anguish and frustration is showing on the streets of Abuja, Lagos and other Nigerian cities as hundreds stand out to march in solidarity and demand quick action by their government.
These our girls should be released. We are tired of today, tomorrow, that they are doing something. And we are very sure they are not doing anything.
A social media campaign has now thrust the issue to the world's attention. There are demonstrations in the U.S. capital, Washington, D.C., and even in London. Pressure is mounting on the U.S. to do more to help find and rescue the girls. Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, speaking on the Senate floor, called on the U.S. to act now.
First, the United States should seek a resolution from the United Nations Security Council condemning this attack and calling for member countries to extend all appropriate assistance to Nigeria and neighboring countries to help locate the victims of Boko Haram's abductions and bring them home. Second, we should move as quickly as we can to provide intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets to contribute to the search for the missing girls.
The United States says it's giving Nigeria counterterrorism assistance to help in the search of the kidnapped girls. White House spokesman Jay Carney said Monday the kidnappings are a terrible tragedy and that U.S. national security officials are closely monitoring the situation.
Our counterterrorism assistance to Nigeria focuses on information sharing, on improving Nigeria's forensics and investigative capacity. It also stresses the importance of protecting civilians and ensuring that human rights are protected and respected. We are working with the Nigerian government to strengthen its criminal justice system and increase confidence in the government by supporting its efforts to hold those responsible for violence accountable.
Gunmen abducted the girls from a school in the town of Chibok, Borno State, in April 14. Nigerian authorities say some escaped, but 276 are still missing. Abu Bakr Shekau, Boko Haram's leader, has now claimed responsibility for the kidnappings in a Hausa language video released to news agencies on Monday.
God should separate us from the unbelievers of the world, for we must follow God. Brethren, behead unbelievers. They said I captured the Western educated girls, and it's bothering you. Leave Western education, ladies. Go and get married. Leave Western education. I'm the one that captured your girls. I'll sell them in the markets. There's a market for selling people. God has commanded me to sell.
Unconfirmed reports say some of the girls have been married to their captors, while others allegedly have been moved across the border into Cameroon and Chad. On Sunday, Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan ordered top security officials to do everything possible to secure the girls' release. U.S. State Department spokeswoman Mary Harf said she did not anticipate any U.S. military assets being used in the search. Well, at this hour, there is a rally in support of the kidnapped girls ongoing outside the Nigerian Embassy here in Washington, D.C. Supporters are trying to pressure the Nigerian government to take measurable action to locate and free the more than 200 schoolgirls kidnapped by Boko Haram militants. For further discussions on the kidnappings, I'm joined by OluwaTosin Adegbola, one of the Washington, D.C. organizers of the Bring Your Girls Back campaign. Welcome to the studio, Ms. Adegbola.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so first tell me, how did you get to organize these campaigns right here in the capital of the United States?
The reality is many of us have been concerned about this for a long time, and we started on social media just reaching out with regards to what can we do, those of us who are Nigerian but not living in the country, what can we do to get more meaningful noise spread out about these horrendous activities. So a core group of us started talking amongst each other, and we started with the rallies.
Now, what do you make of the government's response? It's been kind of quite some time now,
Yes.
and many back home are feeling like the government's not doing enough. What do you make of what the government is telling the people?
It's horrendous. President Goodluck Jonathan took 3 weeks to address the nation, and in that hour-long address, I didn't see any empathy being showed. I believe it should have been a press conference, not a media chat, whereby so many other subject matters were covered. No assistance, no strategic plan of action was laid out for exactly how these searches will happen. There's commentary that they are seeking help, but no specifics on exactly what help they are seeking of other governments who have offered.
What do you think could be behind this kind of a lukewarm approach to the search for these girls?
I believe it's a lack of will, honestly. It's been going on for years. The world is getting to really hear about it this April, but this year alone, some schoolboys were burned alive. I think that they've come to expect it. And unless you actually stamp out this terrorist group, unfortunately, as we saw just this morning, it's going to continue.
Now, what do you think the international community should do? I mean, we saw the world converge in the Indian Ocean trying to search for the missing plane. We saw that in North Korea, yes, with the sinking the ferry that killed so many school kids. What must be done by everybody in the world?
Pressure and decry these kind of activities. Pressure on the Nigerian government. I fully agree with President Obama and the statements that have been made by the US government that Nigeria has to take the lead on actually doing these searches. They've offered help. Nigeria's government needs to take the lead. More pressure needs to be put on the Nigerian government to act.
Do you get the sense that perhaps the Nigerian government is too proud to acknowledge that perhaps it's not capable of doing this and that it needs help from elsewhere?
That's a possibility. Pride might be a possibility. I think they've admitted that they need help, but beyond the admission, what next? You could admit you need help. Are you going to take the help? What kind of help do you need? Is it an infrastructure issue? Is it a security issue? What issue is it? Because if you don't tell people what you need, they're standing at the ready, but what would they serve? I heard on the news that there is a delegation from the US going to Nigeria shortly, but we don't know what to expect from that delegation because we don't know what the president of Nigeria and the federal government actually needs.
Some have actually faulted local politics as interfering with the fight against terrorists in northern Nigeria, where they say the federal government has issues sometimes with the regional governments, like in Northeastern.
I refuse to make that my business. This is about school children that need to be protected at all costs. Whatever your politics are, whatever your tribal differences are, you need to put that aside. These kids, you're stamping out their future. There's a problem with that, regardless of what the politics are.
Are you satisfied with the reaction on the ground by particularly prominent Nigerians? I've seen a few on the streets.
I wish there could be more. Nigeria boasts 2 billionaires, for crying out loud. Tomorrow we have the World Economic Forum going on in Nigeria. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more. Those that really can hit our government where it hurts. I'd like to see more.
And actually, Boko Haram is putting it on their face by taking even more girls. That's what we had at the top of the news today.
Yes.
We just hope we can see those girls back.
I hope so too.
Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, that's OluwaTosin Adegbola, who is Washington, D.C., one of the organizers of the Bring Our Girls Back campaign right here in Washington, D.C.